Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and join me for a summer 2025 early LEGO Minecraft review. This is the Enderman Tower. It is a large-scale brick-built Enderman, and yes, there is a B model as well, where you can partially disassemble it and turn it into two separate PvP dueling fortresses. This also has a pretty fun Easter egg in the form of Nick Bluetooth from LEGO Galador making a Minecraft minifigure appearance, which was a total surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. And so, join me right now as we dive in to the LEGO Minecraft Enderman Tower and all the secrets it holds. Alright, this is the largest set of the wave. 21279 is the Enderman Tower. It comes with 867 pieces and retails for $100 or 100 euros. And on paper, that does feel like okay value, but in person, I definitely feel like maybe this should be closer to something like 90 or even 85. The cool thing about the set is that it actually includes a reference to LEGO Galador in the form of a Nick Bluetooth minifigure as a Minecraft-style skin, which I certainly did not expect at all, but it clearly is supposed to be him because his official name in the set is Dimensional Defender, who of course the Galador heroes were the defenders of the outer dimension. But enough about the minifigures, let's take a look at the set. There's actually surprisingly quite a lot you can do with the set. It isn't just a large-scale brick-built sculpture of an Enderman, but there's actually a B model, which we'll take a look at when we deconstruct this later on at the end of the review. Aside from Nick Bluetooth, the Dimensional Defender, the set also includes a Realm Raider, and it specifically says the set is made for PvP action, which basically showcases that you have these two different color bases, the teal and the red, and you can kind of use those to actually have them battle each other. In addition, there are two Endermen and two Endermites included in the set as well, which is pretty fitting because each of them is supposed to kind of represent one of the different sides, one of them holding a teal block and the other one holding a more reddish orange one for the nether. Now, taking a look at the main sculpture itself, this is honestly a little bit mixed in my opinion, and I actually kind of prefer the B model a bit more, but let's zoom into the A model first. There's a small side build here, which clearly is just meant to be extra pieces for that B model, where you can see that all of these different modules are supposed to be attaching up to the larger structure. There's a nice design with a really nice 6x8 transparent orange plate there. This year they are introducing the plates in transparent colors because they recently introduced a brand new type of plastic for their transparent pieces, and I'm really happy they are able to include not just one but two copies of that in this set, as well as many others. Moving over to the main structure of the Enderman itself though, it obviously has some vines going over it, there are some teal trees as well, and overall, it honestly is just, well, very much an Enderman. It's kind of just a big rectangle, and that means it's not a very interesting build. You basically just put together different structures, and they can bend back and forth. The model tends to sway a little bit, and you might think it's in danger of falling, but it actually is pretty stable on its own. It only sways because everything is held up and connected by just a couple of axles, and because of that, when you actually have it moving, it does tend to actually have a little bit of wobble introduced in. The thing that honestly throws me off a little bit about this model is the fact that there's some pretty awkward exposed Technic pieces just built into the front of the model. It really is very baffling to me as to why those are exposed. They could have easily covered them up with some sort of tiles, but they're very obvious on the front with the holes in the axles, and they also are present on the sides of the arms, where you can see the exposed light gray pins there. And it's just little things like that that detract a little bit from the standard appearance. It's especially strange because they actually include 4 extra pieces just so you can display this as a standard Enderman. Basically, you can go ahead and remove the vines going on the sides of the arms here, and then of course remove the top components as well, and just place these 2x6 tiles to actually allow it to be a very smooth surface for the design of the Enderman itself. But let's just zoom into the back of the model and take a look at the interior of the set. This set does introduce some of the new ladder pieces that they are coming out with for Minecraft Summer 2025. Always good to get a brand new LEGO piece, and these are really useful. There's like 4 different bar connection points on them, and I certainly can expect them to be really useful in all sorts of different colors when it comes to taking a look at other LEGO models, but I do also like how you have different colors of the model here. One of them is utilizing some fence and teal, and the other one is using some of the darker red shades. we have an enchanting table on the inside here, which is really cool. It's been a while since we've gotten an enchanting table in a LEGO Minecraft set, and I'm really happy they included it in this set because those are fully printed components. You also have a bit of a nether portal on the back of the head, which was a surprise to me, but there are some stairs leading up to transparent purple window panes, which suggests that this is a nether portal to actually go ahead and enter the nether, and there are some appropriate soul torches to really set the mood. Altogether, the interior is, I guess, fairly adequate for what I would expect out of a giant sculpture of an Enderman, which doesn't really have that much interior space to play around with. Would I have loved to see a little bit more, maybe something like a respawn anchor since this is set in the nether? Definitely, but it is nice to get so many copies of that new ladder piece, and of course having even just a little bit of interior is nice, especially that enchanting table is a very nice touch. But that's not all. Because as I mentioned, this has a B model as well, and it actually doesn't really involve any disassembly of major components. What you do is that you build this set in modules, and then you go ahead and separate out all of the individual modules. So the railings on the shoulders, the vines on the sides of the arms, and of course then separating out the entire Enderman. First of all, you do have this in a standard position where you can see that is supposed to be just a giant sculpture of an Enderman without all of the extra stuff on top, and I think that works out pretty well. It is a lot larger in person than you'd think, but let's transform it even more. First we remove the head, and then we go ahead and remove the entire torso kind of standing up on its own, then remove each and every one of the individual leg sections attached by Technic axles. Then you can split the base apart like so, and of course you have those two different red components removed as well. Take the head and place it down on the platform here, which acts as a bit of a throne as well as an entrance to the portal itself, and that is one complete section. And then you go ahead and take the another base plate, put the arms attached up to the two separate halves of that other base plate, add in these two pieces as guard towers, and then you have a defensible outpost. And there's a lot of interesting things you could do with this setup. In fact, this does not even look like an Enderman at all. I honestly would have totally imagined this was just some other sort of structure that LEGO decided to create that isn't necessarily supposed to be Enderman themed, but it works a lot better for play. Rather than having one gigantic Enderman-shaped tower, you now have two different towers to go for supporting PvP battle, where you have one that's very teal-oriented, and it really goes to show some of the foliage in the nether, and then you have another one that is very much oriented towards the lava section. Here's a closer look at what those two buildings look like next to each other, and dare I say, I kinda like this a little better than the actual Enderman variation of the set. Don't get me wrong, it is fun to have a giant Enderman, but this just feels a little bit more geared and oriented towards play, and I actually really like how it makes advantage of all of the different components and really makes it feel like a different model. You've got the stairs leading up to the nether portal here, you have some of the red trees going on the top of that, adding to that dark red color scheme, and then the teal, you have all the different teal accents here. It just works really nicely, and I'm a fan that this one does highlight the interior and all the different details you won't be able to see when you have it normally in just the plain black Enderman mode. So as it is, I'm very happy with this version of the set and the extra playability to actually be able to configure both. So now for the big question, is this worth 100 US dollars? The answer is no. It is a build that honestly doesn't look that good when it's in Enderman form. At best, it's a little bit of a boring rectangle, and they did try to switch it up a little bit by having in, of course, the red vines creeping around and the teal going into the nether, but honestly, most of the build is just large black bricks, and it just doesn't really look that visually interesting compared to a lot of other LEGO Minecraft sets. But I think the thing that really gets me here is the price per part ratio. 867 pieces. Even, I know, a lot of those pieces are a little bit larger and price per part ratio isn't everything, but it really feels like this should have been $80 at most. I don't really get $100 worth of value out of this, but that's just my opinion. If you do, all the more power to you. Now let's take a closer look at the minifigs. The standout minifig here for me personally is the Dimensional Defender, who obviously is meant to be Nick Bluetooth. We've been asking for a Nick Bluetooth minifigure for years, and they actually pulled it off in a way that not a lot of us were expecting. While I still would love to see a standard version of the character, maybe as a collectible minifigure or something like that, or heck, throw him in Ninjago, this is a really nice touch to actually allow you to reference an older LEGO theme that honestly didn't perform that well, but is somewhat fondly remembered by certain circles and is basically kind of an icon of LEGO at this point. So I'm really happy to get him in Minecraft form. He does have that glitch effect on his arm where one of them is gunmetal gray. Of course, he has that harness on the front of the torso as well, and he even has that angry expression that you would see Nick Bluetooth kind of charging into action. So altogether, I'm a big fan of this figure, and he definitely is the highlight minifigure of the entire Minecraft wave for me. But obviously, I'm biased because I'm the Bionicle guy. I love construction, I love buildable action figures for LEGO, so this is totally up my alley. The other standard minifig included is the Realm Raider, and while he does have a purple color scheme, unfortunately this is not meant to be Gorm, the main villain from Galador who Nick Bluetooth often faced off against. Instead, he is just another purple themed villain. At least as far as I can tell, he's not supposed to reference that character. But it is still kinda cool to get Nick Bluetooth facing off against someone clad in purple armor. I think that just totally makes sense, and the design of the figure is pretty nicely done as well. Enchanted crossbow, ender pearl, and of course you have that armor with some of the yellow detailing coming in, which I think just adds a lot of color and detail to the minifig itself. Altogether, there are 2 Endermen included as well, one of which is kind of on the teal side and the other one is on the red side, and I do like how they really tried to theme this up to really focus on PvP and just giving you different options when it comes to playing with the characters. Finally, 2 copies of the Endermites are also included, and they're super simple builds. They're literally just 4 pieces, but I think they're pretty cute for what they are. All in all, this is another one of those large-scale animal or mob builds, and I definitely feel like some of the other creatures were just a bit more interesting than this one. An Enderman, by its nature, is literally just a big black rectangle, so there wasn't that much they could have even done with the design of this, but I still feel like there's a few things that could have been cleaned up. The very obvious exposed Technic circles and axles on the torso, the exposed Technic on the side of the arms. I just feel like those are very little minor things that they easily could have just cleaned up to make it feel very smooth. But the fact that this does have a B model is really nice. I'm a fan of that, and I'm especially a fan that they really try to focus on PvP in the set and trying to have a thing to play with on top of just being a fun display. If you love the Enderman, this is the set for you, but otherwise I would say wait for a sale or maybe get one of the other mob houses. And with that, we have summed up this early review of a summer 2025 LEGO Minecraft set. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of this set? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Will you be picking it up when it launches on June 1st, 2025? And of course, let me know in the comments what other sets you want to see me do reviews of next. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.